I have a canned beets, and anytime I want it worse, I just open it and I have it already. So that's also very good, you know.
So where did you learn all these folk remedies? You're pretty crafty.
That's my own. I figured, what do they do with the butter and by? You get a few beets there, mostly it's water. This way I make it as thick and thin as I want it. I add a little water because there isn't enough juice, but it's very rich. But I take the beets and I cube it, very tiny little pieces, according to my taste, you know. Or you can grate it, or sometimes you can get it shredded beets. And you can use that also as pickled beets. All you have to do is put the vinegar, let it stay, and you have pickled beets. And I also do the same thing with prunes, you know, sour prunes. I put water in it, plain water. I don't cook it.
When you lived in Poland way back when, did they get a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables when you were growing up?
Vegetables wasn't too popular. Lettuce was all right. We used, Mother used to make a salad for meat. Lettuce and, what do you call that long, scallions. Chop it up, you know, and put vinegar in it, you know, regular vinegar, a little salt and water. And that was delicious salad to have it on meat.
What kind of,
tomatoes? You know what I used to call them goyish apple because it usually, there wasn't, you know, vegetables weren't too popular, although radishes we used to eat a great deal, and the scallions, and a lot of garlic, and the salad. Then yes, carrots, you know, turnips, cooking vegetables, potatoes and prunes, you know, sweet potatoes and prunes. Did you ever eat that?
Sure.
Delicious. Delicious.
The Jews wouldn't shop in the same place that the Gentiles did in Białystok, did it? I mean, was it a very integrated community there?
It wasn't, because Białystok was totally Jewish.
Really?
They were the Goyim, most of them lived in the suburb, you know what I mean? We lived directly in the city. There was very far few in between. Most old stores were Jewish, the markets, everything. But the Goyim used to come from the farms or villages and sell the vegetables, the fruits, because we had a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
We had all kinds of fruits. We don't have it now. America used to have gooseberries, currants. You know what the gooseberries are?
No, I don't.
It's a little bit green, with a heavy skin and a little fuzzy skin like. And it's like a grape, but it's more old than a grape. And it's a fuzzy skin, and the inside is delicious, little sour side. That was very popular. It was very healthy. Currants, you know what currants are?
Sure, I love them.
Yeah, well, that was like, gooseberries and currants were just like apples and pears, you know. Of course, we had a lot of apples and pears of all kinds, plums, lemons, oranges seldom, because this we had to import, and you know that was costly. The rich you could have bananas, you know, we had pineapple, but the middle class didn't go for that because it's too expensive. But pears and fruit, you know, homegrown.
So you lived in the center of the city, or you lived in the city proper in Białystok?
The Jews did not live in the suburb. They congregated, you know, Jews felt more at home. They were afraid for going, you know.
Was it the same kind of architecture as you see in New York City here? Or, I mean, what kind of houses did your family live in?
Well, the architecture was usually all over the world the same. Now that they get the modern, the flat, so you'll find them all over the world. The architecture, usually they borrow from one another, you know. I mean, it was the old style architecture. Some houses were fancy, but inside, well, America had it here too. Usually we used to have two entrances, whatever they call it, the front and the rear. We call the front, there's a different name. To the rear, you know what I mean? Well, beggars used to come to the rear, we go after shopping, but to the front was especially, you know, for guests.
The formal entrance.
Yes. But some of the buildings had marble stairs. But America had the same thing.
Yeah.
As I said, the same stone stairs, but it was kept very clean. You know, when they tell me about dirty Europe, I go over with my eyes to see the slums, the real slums, and believe you me, the houses were inside it were clean, kept clean, because you know, they had to clean for Passover, and then for each holiday everyone was cleaning, and for the Sabbath, of course you had to make it all cleaned up.
Yeah.
So there were even streets in the lower slums, you could hardly see papers on the street. I don't know what lit the streets. I've asked myself.
Didn't they have guys with brooms and?
I didn't see any. They must have come, but I never saw them. But the streets were clean. There weren't any papers thrown on the streets. And we had a big yard. Most of the yards did not have any grass, or there wasn't enough room, just like in here, you know. There wasn't enough land, so the yards were deep, because in the yards there were houses too, big courtyards. But the yards were cobblestoned. A few owned a little single homes. It wasn't too fashionable there, but some had a single. So they had a little garden or a little, set it off aside. But it was cobblestone.
Were the houses attached like here?
Sure, they were very close. More close than here. As a matter of fact, if a house was over there, there was a little space, you couldn't put, it was against the law to put a window, and there had to be a blind wall. You couldn't look into your next door yard, so you couldn't put windows that way. So all the rooms, if they had to be so fashioned, and there was a certain amount, you know, space that was allowed. It was dark, that's all. You couldn't put windows there. But most of the buildings were built so that you did not use, like you didn't use a window in here, so you use it elsewhere. Or some rooms are like you can live without windows, just dark room without a window. But those were small rooms, you know. Then we had heating the rooms. We had stoves. Now they build the fireplaces like Caroline's, you see, from top to bottom, all brick. And the brick were highly polished.
Really?
Oh, it wasn't a brick. It was a tile.
Oh yeah,
tile.
sure. Yeah, they had that here too.
Bricks inside, but over that it was white tile. And it was beautiful. We wanted to get warm. And inside, you know, the oven, and the tiles would go through all 4 rooms. Something was so situated over in the center.
So it's decoration almost.
We used it because it's a practical thing. On the top, they had a bonnet top, you know. It was nice. And every year or so, we go and what do you call it, crevice? I forgot that word, crevice. You know, the tiles where you whiten it inside.
Yeah.
I do it myself. We do it with a finger every year for Passover we make, because it wears out, you know, with the heat. Whiten it out and it looks beautiful, just like brand new.
Did your family live in one house, you know, for the whole time you lived there, or did you move around a lot, or what? In Białystok?
What do you mean? I don't get your question.
When you lived in Białystok, did your family stay in one house the whole time, or did you move?
We kept on moving because of various situations. My business moved, so we like to stay closer where there's business, you know.
What was